head start on the rest of the NFL because they are playing in this year's Hall of Fame game. Now, Pittsburgh is looking to repeat as division winners, while the Cowboys are hoping to get back on track after a dismal 2020. They didn't just lose Dak Prescott to injury early in the season. They also lost 3 starters along the offensive line in Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, and Lyle Collins for a combined 36 games. The team saw a significant drop-off in pass block win rate and run block win rate when compared to the 2019 season. And Dallas went from ranking first in yards per play to 22nd last season. Dak has made it clear who he thinks will be the most important players for this team's success this season.
They're the most important if you ask me. I mean, from the time that I got drafted here until now, that is this offense was built off of those guys. Those are the 3 most veteran guys on this team, and that's for a reason. Those guys are walking Pro Bowl guys when they're healthy. You know what I mean? Future Hall of Famers, and just to have those 3 guys lead the 5 guys up front. Everything starts with them. The run game, then that allows the pass game to open up. So when you have those guys back, healthy, energized, it's special.
All right, so Swagoo, other than the quarterback position, do you agree that those 3 offensive linemen are indeed the most important pieces to the Cowboys' success this season?
It's not even close, Phil. Absolutely they are. I mean, look, this is one of the forgotten things when we talk about how bad the Cowboys were, because we all, look at the Dak Prescott injury. This offensive line was shattered last year as well. It was a bunch of guys starting with no NFL experience, especially trying to go and win division games and playing against teams as good as they had to play with on the defensive side of the football. So listen, the comfortability for Dak. Obviously, Tyron Smith is going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to have a gold jacket. Zach Martin is trending in that direction. And Lyle Collins was renewed and given a contract after coming out of the draft because of the success that he had. These are 3 Pro Bowl guys. And not to mention, a part of that offensive line is Blake Jarwin, who I think is poised to have a really good season. He was coming on before he suffered an injury. So solidifying up front, giving Dak the opportunity to have time to go downfield, obviously, but also with Zeke. Like, these guys are a zone scheme. They want to get – Zeke is a put his foot in the ground, one-cut running back. That's when he's at his best. It's not the dancing around, not trying to make people miss in the backfield. And these are the guys that you have to have back, and with this understanding of how Kellen Moore wants to run offense in order to have success. They are no doubt the most important part of this offense.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Marcus and Dak. I mean, aside from the quarterback, on offense, it is the offensive line, in particular because of the lack of depth behind them. This is an incredibly stacked wide receiver group. Yeah. I think the most stacked trio in the NFL. Marcus is right about Blake Jarwin, but Dalton Schultz showed he could play as well. Even Ezekiel Elliott has Tony Pollard behind him, who I think is an incredibly talented running back. But on offensive line, if you lose one of these players, these tackles, like you did last year, they're in trouble. So they need healthy seasons from Smith, Collins, Martin, and they haven't had that in a while from everyone. So I think, that's probably the one area on this offense I'd be a little bit anxious about going into the season.
Yeah, Mina, when I think about Dak's rookie season, and really when Zeke broke out as well, I think about the offensive line being the best in the NFL. So that makes sense. But I would add, don't forget about Zeke as being potentially the most important piece of this puzzle outside of Dak. It's not to take away from the offensive line, but he can make things easier as well. He can create the type of balance that Dak will need to at least allow this offense to be multi-dimensional. So, look, I totally think that the offensive line needs to make some magic for Zeke, but let's not forget that Zeke is a highly paid running back that this team has invested in because they believe that he also makes everybody better. So he has to do his part to also make this offensive line's job a little bit easier as well.
All right, Marcus, if we zoom out just for a second and include the question, or make it not just the players, but people in the Dallas organization, who is the most important person to the Cowboys' success this season?
Dan Quinn. And I don't think it's close. And we all know for what reasons. Because if this defense can be formidable, I'm not talking about making a drastic improvement and being top 5, top 10 in the league. But if this defense can hover around 15, 16, and that offense is rolling like we expect it to be, this team should win this division. And this is the part for me that really makes Dan Quinn the most important. Put defensive players out there that understand what the hell they doing. We talk about the ability and the athleticism of these guys. The one thing as a defensive player looking at film of the Cowboys, there was so much confusion, so much not knowing what the hell to do, not knowing where to line up, not understanding what type of scheme they were playing in, let alone guys not being the right type of players to fit the scheme that Mike Nolan was trying to run. So Dan Quinn has to fix all of those things from a schematic standpoint to allow those guys physical ability and talent to show.
Marcus, you nailed it. This defense doesn't need to be good. They just need to be not terrible. Like, that is where I'm setting the bar,
yes.
Not a tire fire, because the offense is so good. And a tire fire is what they were last season. And you're spot on about Quinn. If I had to pick a player that I think the success of this unit could hinge on, I'm going to go with Trevon Diggs, the cornerback, because this secondary is very, very young, and they did not invest heavily in it in free agency. They didn't really have any money to do so, but it's a secondary that struggled a great deal last season on passes of 15 yards or more. They ranked 31st in opponent passer rating, and Diggs, who was a rookie last year, he got cooked early on, but he got better as the season went on. I thought his performances near the end of the year were really promising, and I think he's a better schematic fit with what Dan Quinn does with that cover three. He's also like the old man in the group now. Like, he is should be cornerback one, and if he can take another step forward, he can stabilize a group of players that really need some stability.
Last word, Swagoo.
Yeah, I also think one point too, and we'll get into this as the season goes along. I think Jalen Smith moving back to the will linebacker with Micah Parsons coming in is going to help this defense tremendously. And it's something that we haven't talked about a lot, but Jalen is more suited to be the sideline guy. But we'll break this all down because y'all know I'm talking about the Cowboys defense for the rest of the damn summer. Get ready.
Yeah, trust me. It's what I look forward to when I wake up in the morning. Swagoo, your passion about the Cowboys is certainly unmatched. We go from the Cowboys to another NFC East team, and that is the Giants. As longtime Giants great Eli Manning will be inducted into the team's Ring of Honor on September 26th, the game against the Falcons. He's also accepted a role with the team that includes business operations and fan engagement initiatives. I'm asking for one more thing on top of that, another appearance as the SNL host. Justin Herbert has received comparisons to two all-time greats, and that has Mina telling the Chargers to be careful what they wish for. How Herbert can avoid having a sophomore slump